Today's top stories at NBR: turning to crowdfunding to raise $3 million. Nationals leader urges a reduction in Chris Hipkins' workload. Government urged to reinstate funding for landlords and tenants. And there's more coming right up. Kia ora and welcome to NBR Today, a wrap of the day's top business stories from the authority in New Zealand business news since 1970, nbr.co.nz. It's Monday, September 6th. I'm Paul Brennan. Thanks again for joining us. The long-running directors' duties lawsuit following the collapse of construction company Mainzeal is heading to the Supreme Court. The Court of Appeal in March ruled Mainzeal's four directors, Chief Executive Richard Yan, Chair and ex-Prime Minister Dame Jenny Shipley, Peter Gomm and Clive Tilby, breached the Companies Act for reckless trading ahead of its collapse in 2013, owing creditors more than $111 million. But it also found the breach that formed the basis for the High Court's $36 million damages award in 2019 had in fact caused no loss, so no compensation was payable under Section 135 of the Act. Instead, Appeal Court Justices Stephen Koss, David Goddard and Forrie Miller overturned Justice Francis Cook's finding that the directors were not in breach of Section 136. Skincare and supplements company Genora has turned to crowdfunding to raise $3 million for further expansion into Australia, the US and China. The Christchurch-based company, founded in 2016 by Monique Kaminsky, now with 13 full-time staff, last Wednesday began seeking expressions of interest in its capital raise on crowdfunding platform Snowball Effect. Since then, about 750 people have registered ahead of the offer, which will seek investments of at least $1,000. Kaminsky said it goes live for wholesale investors shortly before being open to the wider public later this month. In May, the company launched a skincare product range after 2 years of development. National Party leader Judith Collins is urging the Prime Minister to reduce Chris Hipkins' workload so he can focus on the COVID-19 response. She made her comments in rejecting suggestions she had demoted her MP Chris Bishop by stripping him of his responsibility as the shadow leader of the House. Judith Collins joined the NBR political editor Brent Edwards.
I just don't think it's fair to Chris Hipkins. I mean, I'm not saying he's not capable. He's actually one of the more capable ministers. But she's got a whole chunk of MPs there she could share those duties with. But he's got too much on his plate. You can see the vaccine rollout has been something almost Monty Python-esque at times. It's been, almost embarrassing.
National leader Judith Collins with Brent Edwards there. The New Zealand Dispute Resolution Centre is urging the government to reinstate funding to pay for landlords and tenants to go through mediation on commercial lease disputes arising from the latest COVID-19 lockdown. The government had provided funding after last year's lockdown, but that came to an end in June this year. Also joining Brent Edwards was NZDRC Managing Director John Green.
NZDRC is involved in resolving all kinds of commercial lease-related disputes, irrespective of the COVID lockdown situation. But we have developed arbitration and mediation services specifically directed at assisting parties to lease disputes that have arisen as a result of the lockdown conditions.
New Zealand Dispute Resolution Managing Director John Green with Brent Edwards. NZX-listed publican Good Spirits Hospitality has swapped directors, replacing major shareholder Andrew Christie with director and corporate lawyer John Seaton. Good Spirits, previously known as Veritas Investments, owns the Better Bar Company, which runs 8 bars in Auckland and 1 in Hamilton. It has a 9th Auckland bar in the works. A former investment banker, Christie joined the board in December and resigned effective immediately on Friday. Christie is a director of major investor Christie Whiting Vermont, which originally held an 18.6% stake. Australian Ethical, the country's leading ethical investor with more than $5 billion Australian dollars under management, has become a substantial shareholder in Kiwi tech company Straker Translations. In a notice to the ASX, Australian Ethical said it had lifted its stake to 5.77% through the purchase of 3.89 million shares. The investment company has a policy of full disclosure on all its investments and invests in companies that give equal weight to social, environmental factors and financial returns. The ASX-listed Straker has developed a cloud-based hybrid translation platform that combines AI with machine-based learning with a crowdsourced pool of freelance translators who refine the first drafts. The full details of those stories and more are at nbr.co.nz right now. Tomorrow at NBR, in Margin Call, Ashley Gardine asks whether China's escalating regulatory crackdown is different this time, and we look at how domestic tourism operators are coping with the lengthy lockdown. I'm Paul Brennan. I look forward to being with you again tomorrow from around lunchtime for the NBR's trending stories. Then, same time, same place, right here again from 5:30 tomorrow for another NBR Today.